Hey there, Westeros fans, Dragon Riders, and House of the Dragon enthusiasts. Welcome to an epic deep dive into the most brutal, breathtaking, and legendary duel in the Game of Thrones universe, Daemon Targaryen versus Aemond Targaryen in the Battle Above the God's Eye. If you're obsessed with dragon-fueled battles, Targaryen drama, and the raw intensity of fire and blood, you're in for an unforgettable ride today. We're going to unpack every detail of this iconic clash, from the fiery rivalry that sparked it to the jaw-dropping spectacle that left fans speechless. Before we dive into this tale of fire and blood, hit that subscribe button and smash the like button to join our community of Westerosi warriors. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single moment of this. Imagine the sky ablaze, two dragons locked in a deadly dance above a misty lake, their roars shaking the heavens. On one side, Daemon Targaryen, the rogue prince, riding Caraxes, the bloodworm, his Valyrian steel sword dark sister gleaming with menace. On the other, Aemond Targaryen, the one-eyed prince, astride Vhagar, the largest dragon in Westeros, his sapphire eye glinting with cold fury. This is the battle above the God's Eye, a clash that defines the Dance of the Dragons and stands as the most brutal Targaryen duel in history. Why is this duel so iconic? Is it the sheer spectacle of two dragon riders battling to the death, brought to life with stunning visuals in House of the Dragon? Is it the personal stakes, a uncle and nephew driven by hatred and loyalty to opposing causes? Or is it the mystery surrounding the outcome, with questions about Daemon's fate that still spark heated debates on X? In this deep dive, we'll explore every facet of this legendary confrontation. The historical context, the lead-up to the battle, the duel itself, its portrayal in the show versus the book, fan reactions, and its lasting impact on Westeros. So let's soar into the fire and unravel the story of Daemon versus Aemond, the duel that changed the Targaryen dynasty forever. To understand the brutality of the battle above the God's Eye, we need to start with the rivalry that set it in motion. Daemon and Aemond Targaryen weren't just enemies in a civil war. Their conflict was deeply personal, rooted in family dynamics, clashing ambitions, and a shared Targaryen fire that burned in opposite directions. Daemon Targaryen, born in 81 AC, was the rogue prince, a warrior dragon rider, and second son of Prince Balon Targaryen. Known for his charisma, ruthlessness, and unyielding ambition, Daemon was a force of nature. He rode Caraxes, a lean, ferocious dragon with blood red, scales and wielded Dark Sister, a Valyrian steel sword that symbolized his warrior legacy. As Rhaenyra Targaryen's husband and uncle, Daemon was the heart of the Blacks, the faction supporting her claim to the Iron Throne during the Dance of the Dragons. Aemond Targaryen, born in 110 AC, was the second son of King Viserys the Fair and Queen Alicent Hightower, making him Daemon's nephew. Aemond was a stark contrast to Daemon, young, disciplined, and fiercely intelligent, but with a cold, vengeful streak. After losing an eye to Rhaenyra's son Lucerys at age 10, Aemond replaced it with a sapphire, earning the nickname One Eye. He rode Vhagar, the oldest and largest dragon in Westeros, a beast whose size and power made her a living legend. Aemond was a key figure in the Greens, the faction backing his brother Aegon II's claim to the throne. Their rivalry began long before the Dance of the Dragons. Daemon, a seasoned warrior, saw Aemond as an upstart, a young prince whose ambition threatened Rhaenyra's claim. Aemond, in turn, despised Daemon's arrogance and his influence over Rhaenyra, viewing him as a chaotic relic of an older Targaryen era. The tension escalated when Aemond killed Lucerys Velaryon and his dragon Arrax at Storm's End in 129 AC, an act that ignited the war and made their confrontation inevitable. Daemon swore vengeance, and Aemond, emboldened by Vhagar's might, welcomed the challenge. By 130 AC, their paths were set to collide above the God's Eye, a lake steeped in myth and mystery. The battle above the God's Eye didn't happen in a vacuum. It was the climax of the Dance of the Dragons, a civil war that tore House Targaryen apart from 129 to 131 AC. To set the stage, let's dive into the war's context and how it brought Daemon and Aemond to their fateful duel. The dance began when King Viserys I died, leaving the Iron Throne contested between his daughter Rhaenyra and his son Aegon II. Rhaenyra, named heir by Viserys, led the Blacks with Daemon as her chief commander and dragon rider. Aegon II, backed by his mother Alicent and the Hightowers, led the Greens with Aemond as their most formidable warrior. The war was brutal, with dragons clashing, castles burning, and families divided. By 130 AC, both sides had suffered devastating losses and the Riverlands became a key battleground. Daemon, based at Harrenhal, was orchestrating the Blacks' strategy, using his experience from the Stepstones campaign to outmaneuver the Greens. He captured strongholds, rallied allies, and fought with a ferocity that inspired his followers. Aemond, meanwhile, was the Greens' wildcard, riding Vargar to terrorize the Riverlands, burning villages and strongholds to weaken Rhaenyra's support. His killing of Lucerys had made him a target for Daemon's wrath, and the two were on a collision course. The God's Eye, a lake near Harrenhal with ties to the Old Gods and the Children of the Forest, became the perfect stage for their showdown. Daemon, learning of Aemond's presence, issued a challenge through a raven, daring his nephew to face him. Aemond, eager to prove himself and eliminate the Blacks' greatest warrior, accepted. The stage was set for a duel that would define the war and cement their legacies. On the 22nd day of the 5th moon of 130 AC, the battle above the God's Eye unfolded, a spectacle of dragon fire and steel that remains unmatched in Westerosi history. According to Fire and Blood, Daemon, atop Caraxes, met Aemond and Vhagar above the lake, their dragons roaring as they ascended into the misty sky. What followed was a duel of unparalleled brutality, a clash that combined the raw power of dragons with the personal vendetta of two Targaryen princes. Caraxes, known as the Bloodworm for his red scales and serpentine agility, was a formidable opponent despite being smaller than Vhagar. Vhagar, a veteran of Aegon's conquest, was a behemoth, her massive wings and fiery breath capable of leveling armies. The dragons' contrasting styles made the battle dynamic. Caraxes darted and weaved, striking with precision, while Vhagar relied on her size and strength, her flames engulfing the sky. Daemon and Aemond fought not just with their dragons, but with their swords. Fire and Blood describes them exchanging blows as their mounts clashed, their blades ringing above the lake. Witnesses, small folk, soldiers, and lords, watched in awe as the sky turned red with dragonfire, the lake below reflecting. The flames like a mirror. The chronicler Mushroom claims the battle was so fierce that the gods themselves held their breath, while Septon Eustace called it a dance of death. The turning point came when Caraxes, wounded but relentless, locked onto Vhagar's neck, his jaws clamping down with savage force. The dragon spiraled downward, a tangled mass of scales and blood. In a moment of breathtaking audacity, Daemon leapt from Caraxes' saddle, Dark Sister in hand, and drove the blade through Aemon's remaining eye, killing him instantly. The dragons and their riders crashed into the God's Eye, sending up a wave that flooded the shores. When the wreckage was searched, Aemon's body was found chained to Vhagar's saddle, Dark Sister still lodged in his skull. But Daemon's body was never recovered. In House of the Dragon, this duel is a cinematic triumph. The show amplifies the spectacle with sweeping shots of Caraxes and Vhagar spiraling through the mist, their roars shaking the screen. Matt Smith's Daemon exudes defiance, his smirk giving way to grim resolve as he faces his nephew. Ewan Mitchell's Aemond is a study in cold fury, his sapphire eye glinting as he meets Daemon's challenge. The moment Daemon leaps from Caraxes, sword flashing, is a heart-stopping highlight that has fans flooding X with hashtags like Daemon God's Eye Duel and Daemon vs Aemond. The visuals, paired with Ramin Djawadi's haunting score, make it one of the show's most iconic scenes. What made the battle above the God's Eye so brutal and significant? Let's break it down through the lens of tactics, symbolism, and narrative impact. Tactics. Daemon's strategy was bold and desperate. Caraxes was smaller and faster, allowing him to outmaneuver Vhagar's brute strength. By engaging Vhagar in close combat, Daemon played to Caraxes' strengths, using agility to target vulnerable spots like the neck. His leap from the saddle was a high-risk move, sacrificing his own safety to ensure Aemond's death. Aemond, conversely, relied on Vhagar's overwhelming power, aiming to crush Caraxes with sheer force. His overconfidence, fueled by youth, and Vhagar's size may have been his downfall, as he underestimated Daemon's cunning and resolve. Symbolism. The duel is rich with symbolism. The God's Eye, tied to the old gods and the mystical Isle of Faces, adds a layer of divine judgment to the battle. The clash of Caraxes and Vhagar represents the broader conflict of the dance, the old guard, Daemon, versus the new, Aemond, tradition, versus ambition. Daemon's leap, a suicidal act of vengeance, symbolizes his unwavering loyalty to Rhaenyra, while Aemond's death marks the cost of his hubris. The lake swallowing both dragons underscores the tragedy of the Targaryen civil war, where even the mightiest fall. Narrative impact. The duel was a turning point in the Dance of the Dragons. Aemond's death crippled the Greens, removing their most dangerous dragon rider. For the Blacks, it was a Pyrrhic victory, as Daemon's loss left Rhaenyra without her greatest ally. The battle's ambiguity, particularly Daemon's missing body, adds a layer of intrigue that keeps fans debating its outcome. Fans on X dissect these elements, with posts analyzing Daemon's tactics and the duel's mythic undertones. Some call it a masterstroke of strategy, others a reckless act of desperation. The symbolism resonates deeply, with fan art depicting the dragon's fall as a tragic dance, cementing the duel's place in Westerosi lore. Halfway through our deep dive, let's pause to compare how Fire and Blood and House of the Dragon portray this epic duel. If you're loving this exploration of Daemon versus Aemond, hit that subscribe button and give us a like to keep the Westeros content coming. Your support helps us unravel more epic battles like this one. In Fire and Blood, the duel is described through the lens of unreliable narrators, each with their own biases. Mushroom, the jester, paints it as a heroic spectacle, emphasizing Daemon's daring leap and Aemond's brutal end. Septon Eustace, a pious chronicler, frames it as divine retribution, with the God's Eye swallowing both sinners. The accounts are vivid but distant, filtered through second-hand reports from witnesses. The lack of Daemon's body fuels ambiguity, with Martin deliberately leaving gaps for readers to fill. House of the Dragon brings the duel to life with visceral intensity. The show adds emotional depth, showing Daemon's resolve to protect Rhaenyra's claim and Aemond's burning hatred for his uncle. The visuals are stunning. Caraxes' serpentine agility contrasts with Vhagar's lumbering power, and the misty lake creates an eerie backdrop. The show leans into the personal stakes, with flashbacks and dialogue highlighting the rift between Daemon and Aemond. Daemon's leap is framed as both a tactical move and a personal sacrifice, adding layers to his character. The show also amplifies the ambiguity of Daemon's fate. While Fire and Blood leaves it open-ended, the show uses subtle visual cues, like a lingering shot of the lake's surface, to hint that Daemon might have survived. Interviews with the show's creators, shared on X, confirm this was intentional, sparking debates with hashtags like Daemon Lives and God's Eye Mystery. Fans praise the show's portrayal for its emotional weight, with Matt Smith and Ewan Mitchell's performances earning widespread acclaim. The battle above the God's Eye has ignited a firestorm of fan reactions and theories, particularly around Daemon's fate. On X, the duel is a constant topic, with fans sharing edits, memes, and heated debates. Hashtags like Targaryen Duel and Daemon vs Aemond trend after every relevant episode, with posts dissecting every frame of the battle. Fan art captures the dragons clash, often depicting Daemon's leap as a moment of mythic heroism. The biggest question is whether Daemon survived. The Daemon Lives theory is a fan favorite, with supporters arguing that his missing body suggests he swam to shore or was aided by some mystical force tied to the God's Eye. Some speculate he fled to Essos, living as a sellsword or a mysterious figure, perhaps even influencing later events in the Targaryen saga. Others propose a magical survival, linking the lake's connection to the old gods to Daemon's preservation, possibly as a green man or a spectral guardian. Skeptics counter that survival was impossible. The fall from such a height, combined with Caraxes' wounds and the lake's currents, would have been fatal. They argue Daemon's devotion to Rhaenyra makes it unlikely he'd abandon her, and his death fits his character, a blaze of glory for a man who lived defiantly. These debates fuel fan fiction, with stories imagining Daemon's secret life or tragic end. The duel's brutality also sparks discussion. Fans marvel at the savagery of Caraxes and Varga's clash, comparing it to other epic battles like Drogon versus the White Walkers. Some see Daemon's leap as a tactical masterstroke, others as a desperate act of vengeance. The personal stakes, uncle versus nephew, loyalty versus ambition, resonate deeply, making the duel a microcosm of the dance's tragedy. The battle above the God's Eye is more than a moment in history. It's a legend that shaped the Targaryen dynasty and its fans. In Westeros, the duel became the stuff of songs, with bards immortalizing Daemon and Aemond as tragic heroes locked in eternal combat. The loss of Vhagar and Caraxes weakened both sides, hastening the dance's devastating end. Daemon's daughters, Baela and Rhaena, carried on his legacy, ensuring his bloodline influenced future Targaryens like Daenerys. For fans, the duel is a cultural touchstone. It's a testament to the Targaryen mystique, fire, blood, and dragons, and a reminder of the cost of civil war. On X, fans share cosplays of Daemon and Aemond, complete with Dark Sister replicas and sapphire eye masks. The duel inspires fan fiction, from alternate endings where Daemon survives to tragic retellings of Aemond's fall. Academically, it's studied as a pinnacle of the anti-hero narrative, with Daemon and Aemond embodying the duality of Targaryen greatness and self-destruction. The duel's influence extends to merchandise, with posters, t-shirts, and Funko Pops, capturing its iconic imagery. Lines like "The sky burned and the gods wept" have become fan favorites, emblazoned on everything from mugs to hoodies. This cultural footprint shows how deeply the duel has embedded itself in the collective imagination. Why does the battle above the God's Eye resonate so deeply? It's a perfect storm of spectacle, emotion, and mystery. The clash of Caraxes and Vhagar is a visual feast, a dragon duel that pushes the boundaries of fantasy storytelling. The personal stakes, Daemon's loyalty to Rhaenyra, Aemond's thirst for vengeance, make it a human story, grounded in family and betrayal. The ambiguity of Daemon's fate keeps fans engaged, sparking theories that bridge book and show. The duel also captures the essence of the Dance of the Dragons, a war where no one truly wins. It's a reminder that even the mightiest Targaryens, with their dragons and ambition, are mortal. For fans, it's a moment that defines Daemon and Aemond as larger-than-life figures, their legacies intertwined in a single brutal act. As we wrap up this deep dive into Daemon Targaryen versus Aemond, it's clear why this duel is the most brutal in Targaryen history. It's a clash of titans, a dance of dragons, and a mystery that refuses to be solved. Whether you see Daemon as a hero or a rogue, Aemond as a villain or a tragic figure, their battle above the God's Eye is a moment that burns bright in the annals of Westeros. If you've loved this exploration of the ultimate Targaryen duel, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button. Your support keeps us bringing you more Westeros content. Share your thoughts in the comments. Whose side are you on, Daemon or Aemond? Did the rogue prince survive, or did he fall in glory? Let's keep the conversation going. The battle above. The God's Eye is more than a duel. It's a legend that captures the fire and blood of House Targaryen. Here's to Daemon and Aemond, whose clash will echo through the ages. Until next time, keep the dragon fire burning.